Underfunding versus overfunding recap. In our previous lesson, we explored one of the most important financial decisions every business owner must make: how much funding a business really needs. We compared underfunding and overfunding, and discovered that both can create serious challenges for a business. On one side, we saw that underfunded businesses often struggle with cash flow problems, limited inventory, missed opportunities, and insufficient resources to market and grow their operations. On the other side, we learned that overfunded businesses can also make costly mistakes by purchasing unnecessary assets, hiring more employees than they need, overspending on advertising, and allowing valuable capital to sit idle instead of generating returns. Business A showed us the risks of having too little money. Business B demonstrated the dangers of having too much. And Business C reminded us that success isn't about raising the most money, it's about raising the right amount and using it wisely. Our key takeaway was simple: the goal isn't maximum funding, it's balanced funding. A business should have enough capital to operate efficiently, seize opportunities, and grow sustainably without creating unnecessary financial pressure. But that leaves us with an important question. What actually happens when a business doesn't have enough money? How does a shortage of capital slowly transform a healthy business into one that's constantly struggling to survive? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. How too little money kills businesses. Introduction. 3 business owners started the year with the same dream. Each had a promising business idea. Each believed they had enough money to get started. Each expected their business to grow. But by the end of the year, one business had closed. One business was struggling to survive. And one business was growing stronger than ever. What made the difference? Was it the quality of their products? Was it their customer service? Was it their location? No. The answer was something much simpler. Money. Or more accurately, too little money. But here's something that surprises many entrepreneurs. Businesses rarely die the day they run out of money. Instead, they die slowly. One small financial problem leads to another. Then another. Then another. Until one day, the owner looks around and wonders, how did everything fall apart? Today, we're going to follow Business A, Business B, and Business C to uncover exactly how too little money kills businesses. But before we do, let's answer an important question. If money is so important, what's the very first thing that begins to break when a business doesn't have enough of it? The cash flow trap. Business A opened with just enough money to rent a small shop and buy inventory. Everything looked promising. Customers started walking in. Sales were being made. The owner smiled and thought, we're finally in business. But something was happening behind the scenes that customers couldn't see. Money was coming in. But it wasn't coming in fast enough. Suppliers wanted payment today. Rent was due. Employees expected their salaries. Utility bills kept arriving. Cash kept leaving the business faster than it was coming in. Very quickly, the owner faced an impossible question. Who gets paid first? That single question became the first domino. Because every decision that followed became harder than the one before. And the next decision would create a problem business never expected. A shortage of stock. Empty shelves, empty sales. Business A decided to delay paying suppliers. It'll just be for a few days, the owner thought. But suppliers had businesses to run too. Some delayed deliveries. Others demanded payment before sending more goods. Within weeks, the shelves began to empty. Customers walked into the store looking for products they had bought before. Instead they heard, "Sorry, we're out of stock." Some customers promised to come back. Many didn't. They simply bought from a competitor. Business A wasn't just losing inventory anymore. It was losing customers. And every customer who left made it even harder to generate enough cash to restock. But the owner still believed there was one expense that could safely be reduced. Marketing. Was that really the right decision? When the business becomes invisible. To save money, business A stopped advertising. Social media posts became less frequent. Promotions disappeared. The marketing budget was reduced to zero. At first, nothing seemed to change. Existing customers still came. Sales looked stable. The owner felt relieved. But weeks later, something unexpected happened. Very few new customers were discovering the business. Returning customers became less frequent. Competitors were attracting the attention that business A had given up. The business hadn't become worse. It had become invisible. Sales continued falling. Now there wasn't enough money for inventory or marketing. So the owner made another difficult decision. Could reducing staff save the business? Cutting the team. Business A laid off 2 employees. Payroll expenses dropped immediately. It seemed like a smart financial move. But the remaining staff had to do more work. Customers waited longer. Orders took longer to prepare. Mistakes increased. Phones rang unanswered. Complaints began appearing. Some customers never returned. The owner had reduced expenses. But revenue was falling even faster. What started as a financial problem was becoming an operational problem. So where could the owner turn now? The answer seemed obvious. Borrow more money. But would borrowing actually solve the problem? Or simply delay it? Borrowing to survive. Business A applied for a loan. The money arrived. Outstanding supplier invoices were paid. Inventory returned. The pressure eased. For a moment, everything looked normal again. But loans don't just provide money. They create obligations. Monthly repayments began. Interest accumulated. Now the business had another bill that had to be paid every month. Instead of using profits to grow, the business was using profits to service debt. The loan had bought time. But it hadn't solved the reason the business kept running out of money. Without fixing that, the same problems would return. And they did. The downward spiral. Customers continued leaving. Revenue declined. Debt increased. Suppliers became less willing to offer credit. Employees lost confidence. The owner became stressed. Simple decisions became difficult. Growth stopped. Innovation stopped. Planning stopped. Every day became about survival. The business wasn't moving forward anymore. It was trying to avoid collapsing. But here's the interesting part. Business A didn't fail because of one bad decision. It failed because dozens of small problems built on top of each other. Like dominoes. One falls. Then another. Then another. Until the final one falls too. So, what was the real cause? Was it really the lack of money? Or something deeper? The real lesson. Many people say businesses fail because they don't have enough money. But that's only part of the story. Money is rarely the direct cause. Too little money starts a chain reaction. Cash flow becomes unpredictable. Suppliers lose confidence. Inventory becomes inconsistent. Customers leave. Marketing stops. Operations slow down. Employees become overwhelmed. Debt increases. Each problem feeds the next. Eventually, the business reaches a point where recovery becomes extremely difficult. Too little money didn't destroy the business in a single day. It slowly weakened every part of the business until it could no longer stand. Business B faced a similar challenge. Money was also limited. But instead of ignoring the warning signs, the owner acted early. Expenses were carefully prioritized. Unnecessary purchases were postponed. Inventory was managed more efficiently. Supplier relationships were maintained through honest communication. Instead of trying to grow too quickly, Business B focused on protecting cash flow. The business wasn't growing rapidly. But it wasn't collapsing either. Sometimes survival is the first stage of success. Business C also began with limited capital. But the owner had prepared differently. An emergency cash reserve had been set aside. The business tracked cash flow every week. Profits weren't immediately spent. Some were reinvested. Some were saved. When unexpected expenses appeared, the business absorbed the shock without interrupting operations. Business C proved something important. Success isn't determined by how much money you start with. It's determined by how well you manage the money you have. Conclusion. Business A taught us how a shortage of money can trigger a chain reaction that slowly destroys a business. Business B showed us that careful financial decisions can keep a business alive even when money is limited. Business C reminded us that preparation, discipline, and good cash flow management are often more valuable than raising large amounts of capital. The lesson isn't that every business needs millions to succeed. The lesson is this: money doesn't just fund a business. It gives the business time to solve problems, seize opportunities, and continue serving customers. When that time disappears, every decision becomes more difficult. Every mistake becomes more expensive. And every delay pushes the business one step closer to failure. So the question every business owner should ask isn't, how much money can I raise? It's, do I have enough money to keep my business healthy while it grows? Because in business, it's often not the lack of money that kills you. It's the chain reaction that begins when money becomes too little. Coming up next. In today's lesson, we discovered how too little money can slowly destroy a business. We saw how one financial problem leads to another. Cash flow becomes strained. Inventory runs out. Customers leave. Debt increases. And before long, the business finds itself fighting for survival. So, it's easy to assume that the solution is simple. Just raise more money. After all, if too little money creates problems, then having more money should solve them. Right? Surprisingly, not always. Some businesses receive more funding than they actually need. At first, everything looks perfect. The bank account is full. The pressure disappears. The owner feels unstoppable. But then, something unexpected begins to happen. Expenses that once required careful thought are approved without hesitation. Equipment is purchased before it's needed. More employees are hired than the business can support. Expensive offices replace practical workspaces. Marketing budgets grow. But sales don't. Slowly, the business starts confusing having money with creating value. And before anyone realizes it, resources are being consumed faster than they're producing results. The business isn't growing because it's becoming more efficient. It's growing more expensive. So, can having too much money actually become a business problem? How does extra capital slowly create waste, inefficiency, and poor decision-making? That's exactly what we'll explore in our next lesson. How too much money creates waste.